Good morning. So this morning I want to talk about the term coaching. And the reason is I had actually a pretty tragic example of the difference between, or what I think the difference between coaching and therapy or counseling. Because a guy called me and asked about counseling. And apparently his wife had asked him numerous times to go to counseling. And his reaction was, there's nothing wrong with me. You get your stuff together. And he resisted. So then a few days earlier, his wife had said, I want a divorce. And so then he called me, but by that time it was too late. And I think that, the connotation is, and he thought there was something wrong with him. And that's, I think, why he resisted. The implication is that there's something wrong with the person, the term therapy or counseling. So where does that come from? And I think philosophically, this is just me now. But before I trained with Harville Hendricks, I trained as an Adlerian psychologist. And Alfred Adler was a contemporary of Sigmund Freud. And they disagreed. He split with Freud early on because they disagreed about many things. But Freud obviously is the grandfather of modern psychology and has influenced psychology immensely over the last 150 years. And still sometimes you see, in a movie or a cartoon or something, you'll see a typical Freudian office where the person's on the couch, the therapist is behind taking notes, but the connotation is very clear. You're the patient, I'm the doctor. There's something wrong with you, I'll help you fix it. Is that not true? I think the connotation around therapy or counseling is something wrong with you. So Adler, his take was, and I'm sure I've said this before, but Adler's take on life was that by the time a child is 4 or 5, say, they figured out how to fit into their little family of origin. And you with youngsters, you know your kids are pretty good about getting what their own way or getting what they want. And we were the same. And Adler likened that to a map, a very accurate map of our family of origin, where we grew up. We figured out how to fit into that. And he called that a lifestyle. And then what brings people into my office at 30 or 40 or 50 or whatever is metaphorically they're in Toronto, but they're still using remember I said he likened to a map, so a very accurate map, say of Windsor, the family of origin. Now what brings people into my office at a later date is they're metaphorically in Toronto, but they're still using their Windsor map. It's not working. But now here's the key piece. Adler's take on it wasn't that there was something wrong with you, but his take was what you learned at 4 or 5 is not working. Now you can keep doing it, but surely to God at 30 or 40 or 50, you can learn something different. And to me, it's just way more optimistic. Now he didn't use the term coaching, but I think that's what it's about, is that as a coach, what you're doing is not working. Now you can keep doing it, or here's a different way to do it, which to me it just changes everything. Now, Heather, and I've said this before too, Heather has the great saying, it's not what you possess, it's how you use it. And I always use the example of Terry Fox, a young man who lost a leg to cancer. Now it's 40 years ago now, and his Marathon of Hope has raised over $850 million. Imagine. But anyway, he decided to run across Canada to raise money for cancer research, where another young fellow could lose a leg to cancer and say, well, life's not fair. They both possess the same thing, use it quite differently. Fox couldn't do anything about the lost leg of the cancer, but what he did, pretty impressive. Same with us, or same with that fellow, or that, they can't change anything that's happened to now, but what they do from here forward, they have more choice over. So for me, it's just way more optimistic. And all sports, including professional sports, use coaches. And I think most of us understand that the person on the sideline is a bit more objective than the person in the midst of the game. And so he can look or she can look and see, geez, that's not working, or here would be a better way to do it. So it makes sense, I think. And I don't know, do you think anything would have changed if the wife had asked this fellow in my example to start, we need to go for coaching? I doubt it. But hopefully, he was, I'm sure he was aware things weren't going the way, as well as they could have been at home. I'm sure he was aware of that. Would the term coaching change anything? I don't know. But hopefully in the future, and hopefully it doesn't take another 150 years, that the term therapy, counseling, coaching can be seen in a more positive light, because at its best, counseling is not a sign of weakness or failure, but rather a positive step towards growth and learning new tools to navigate difficulties and help understand each other at a deeper level. It's like the coach, what you're doing is not working. Now, you can keep doing it, or here's a different way. And we just know more now about what makes a relationship work. And you know me, I can get into that. But hopefully, the term coaching might make what we do in the office help people see it in a more positive light. Because I think now, in that tragic example, the fellow asked to go to counseling, and his resistance was, I'm okay, there's nothing wrong with me. You get your stuff together. And then when it came his turn, it was too late. Okay, anyway, have a great week, and we'll see you in the future. Cheers.